Dinghai Fusheng Records. Chapter 49. Light Intellectual Conversation. This little brother would like to ask all the brothers who are present here, said Chen Xing with a smile, who has a feud with the Tile tribe? If anyone does, you may as well unsheath your sword and come over. I'll pay the debt with my life on my friend's behalf. When everyone was asked like this, they couldn't respond at all. The Tile tribe that Xiang Shu belonged to had never slaughtered the Han. During the few times they entered the pass, all they did was assist Fu Jian in settling the internal disputes between the Hu people. A scholar sneered. The Hu have heads as small and sharp as a buck, and eyes as small and round as a rat. Also, vermin all work in concert with one another. It doesn't matter if he is a Tile, a Xiangnu, a Di, or a Xianbei. Those who have slaughtered our Han kin are all mortal enemies of our great Jin, so what's the difference? Isn't a Tile a Hu? Since he's a Hu, what's wrong with us taking revenge? Chen Xing thought, just now I clearly heard you guys praise Xiang Shu for being a gentleman as beautiful as jade, and now he's a buck and a rat? Scholars truly are capricious. So he said sincerely, according to what this worthy older brother had said, the Hu are people, and the Han are people too. If one wants to take revenge, then they could just kill them straight away. Why go through so much trouble like this? Once he spoke, some people who had remained in their seats couldn't help laughing. That scholar was instantly enraged and refuted, "You're being importunate. How are the two equal? Of course it's not equal." Chen Xing thought about it, then answered, "According to me, since both the Hu and Han aren't human, would everyone still sit down to have a discussion?" Xie Xian couldn't help saying, "What do you mean by that?" "Human is how the form is named," Chen Xing said calmly. "Hu and Han are how the ethnicities are named. A white horse is not a horse, and a Hu human is not a human, it's the same principle." Xiang Shu. The whole room roared with laughter. Xian narrowed his eyes a little, understanding that Chen Xing was intending to follow their example and take the initiative in calling for a discussion. The meaning behind Chen Xing's words was that Hu and Han were ethnicities, which were general terms referring to collective groups, so they could not concretely define the term human. This was the ability to use syntactic expletives, and the art of sophism, which evolved from the Warring State period's Gongsun Long's "A white horse is not a horse." Jiangdong was a region that revered light, intellectual conversation, and everyone here had been familiar with this proposition long ago. Chen Xing's move was no different from sending himself to their doorsteps to let them hang him up and hit him, so those who had gotten up to leave started sitting down one after another, intending to refute Chen Xing until he was dumbstruck and speechless. "Hu people are one type of human," another scholar said, "just like how Han people are a type of human, like how streams are a subset of rivers, light intellectual conversation isn't sophistry. Little brother, this is something we've all played with since a long time ago." But unexpectedly, Chen Xing diverted and asked, "Then I'd like to ask everyone, what is human? We should at least define what a human is before we can argue whether the Tile people or Hu are humans or not, and whether they have feuds with everyone present." As soon as he said that, everyone fell silent. Is a Hu human a human? Wasn't a tough question to explain, but what defined human was an issue that very few people have seriously considered before. At first, Xiang Shu guessed that the situation had no chance of being settled peacefully, so he was just waiting for someone to report him to the officials, and then he would rush out with Chen Xing. Although there were a lot of people in the hall, they were all scholars and wouldn't even be able to withstand one hit from him. In consideration for Xian, he wouldn't strike them down too hard. But who would have known that Chen Xing would be a gentleman who used his mouth and not his fists, and managed to stun everyone present with just a few sentences. From the looks of it, the situation didn't seem too bad, but this question and answer session left Xiang Shu a little puzzled as well. Wang Zizi said with a smile, "Everyone present is human, is that a question that still needs to be asked?" Chen Xing thought for a bit, then said, "From what I see, that's not necessarily true. To know what you are, you must first specify what the definition of this thing is, otherwise how can you use it to define yourself? You're right. Xie Xian was duped into the ditch by Chen Xing as well. Humans are the wisest of all creatures, this was a saying that had persisted since ancient times. But how can one give a clear and accurate definition of human? Even the former great sages would not be able to do so. And thus, the hall remained quiet for a while before someone said, bodies 7 qi long, hands and legs that differ from each other, hair on their heads, teeth in their mouths, able to stand and walk quickly, that's the definition of being human. That was an excerpt from Liezi Huangdi. Chen Xing retorted without even thinking, then what about those with bodies 8 qi long? What about those with 3 qi bodies? Aren't small people human? Those born with 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head are human, the scholar who had first clamored about reporting Xiang Shu spoke. Then what about those who were born missing a limb? Chen Xing said with a smile. If anyone says that soldiers who have lost a limb on the battlefield aren't human anymore, I'll be the first to say no. Xian said, those who are born with 3 yang and 7 yin souls, no matter their form, are human. Xian can be said to have pointed out the essence of being human in metaphysics. Everyone seated were instantly enlightened and sighed in admiration. Yet Chen Xing said, then for a human, if their 3 yang and 7 yin souls no longer exist, they won't be human anymore. Xiang Shu thought, isn't that a given? Xian said, they would just be a layer of skin then. We can take our revenge now, someone said. Wait, Chen Xing said. Humans who have lost their 3 yang and 7 yin souls, if I remember correctly, should be called dead humans, right? Then are dead humans, human. Everyone started scolding Chen Xing, but Chen Xing explained, dead is a designated term. Human is the name of the form. If dead humans aren't human, then who humans shouldn't be considered human either. Everyone. Xiang Shu. How can the dead be the same as the who? The Hans were quite dissatisfied with Chen Xing's sophistry. Are you just trying to scold me in a roundabout manner? Xiang Shu was quite dissatisfied with Chen Xing as well. Chen Xing quickly said, then, let's put it another way. Do cats and dogs have the 3 yang and 7 yin souls? Xian. Chen Xing said doubtfully, if cats and dogs have souls, then can they be considered human? If they don't, then who can prove that all creatures aside from humans don't have souls? This time, Xian had practically picked up a rock and smashed it onto his foot himself. Originally, if he had forcibly said that all creatures aside from humans don't have complete souls, it could sort of serve as a plausible explanation. But what about proving it? To prove that the only creature that possessed souls in this world were humans? To do so, one must first prove that no animal other than man had souls. The theory of souls was still an unfounded one. If one tried to forcibly prove that there were none, not only would it not have the support of theories, but Chen Xing would also be able to suggest a ton of counter-examples. For example, the 6 realms of rebirth, yin and yang, reincarnation. After humans die in this life, they may reincarnate as animals in the next. That is to say, animals are the same as humans, they have souls too. Chen Xing added, there are people who are born lacking a soul or two, but we can't not treat them as humans, right? Let's shelve that first. The legends say that there are fox yaos in the world who cultivate into humans and are no different from humans, except for a sliver of their beastly nature that they couldn't be rid of. In that case, are yaos that turn into humans considered human? Why don't people in the world regard yaos as humans then? Xian decisively said, that's different. None of us have seen fox yaos after all, we can't look into that. In that case, no one has seen souls before either, Chen Xing readily agreed. So the talk about souls cannot be included in the discussion. Yes, yes. Everyone wiped their sweat away. But after that, silence filled the hall again. After the topic made a detour back, they were even less able to answer Chen Xing's question regarding the definition of humans. Human is but a conventional reference, Xian pondered for a long time before saying. How they are addressed depends on ourselves. There isn't much meaning in bothering so much with a form of address. Chen Xing said, but no one has ever told us how this form of address came about. Expressing one's curiosity towards it, and for this little brother here to want to discuss it properly and clearly with the gigs here is understandable. Xian's delaying tactics didn't work. He scratched his back a few times and thought, what should I do now? Xian said, then, Brother Tianqi, what do you think? Chen Xing uttered in surprise, it's my turn again. Chen Xing dealt with the literati in the same way Xiang Shu dealt with martial artists, and he did so even more cleanly than Xiang Shu did. After all, Xiang Shu's strength could rival 1,000 troops, but he had to fight them off one by one. Chen Xing engaged in a duel of words with scholars and managed to get rid of a whole batch of them every time a classic group attack. Originally, Chen Xing had even prepared a bunch of are immortal humans considered human. If immortals aren't human, then why are they called immortal humans? After resolving the problem regarding immortal humans, there were still ancestors, gods, orangutans, and monkeys who have their own sign language and can communicate through cries, parrots that can talk, and so on. But unexpectedly, this group of people didn't seem to be very strong, since they were ready to admit defeat so soon. Xian made a gesture, meaning to let Chen Xing speak. If Chen Xing wanted to prove his point of view, he needed to offer a strong argument to convince the masses. In my humble opinion. After Chen Xing finished the last bit of tea in front of him, he said seriously, those who possess a heart are human. All the scholars hissed in scorn, but after doing so, they suddenly fell silent again. No one was able to refute him. Because the word heart was a concept that was rather complicated to explain. Mencius once said, fish is something I desire. Bear paw is also something I desire, and cited the willingness to sacrifice one's life over principles within as an example of heart. However, according to what Chen Xing said, it was evident that the range this phrase encompassed was wider than what can be found in Confucianism. How would you explain the term heart? Someone else said. Are we going to start discussing that now? The wheel has come full circle, we're just going around in circles, how? No, Chen Xing said. The heart that distinguishes right from wrong, the resolution that remains unwavering in the face of outside pressure, a clear conscience not concealed behind selfish desires, an unfettered freedom, an innocent disposition that remains unswayed as it walks alone. After speaking up to this point, Chen Xing inadvertently glanced at Xiang Shu and realized that Xiang Shu had his attention focused on him from the start. When their gazes met for a brief moment, both of them looked away in awkwardness. Chen Xing almost forgot what he was about to say next. So, it's things like this that I can't list out in detail right now. Everyone has read about it in books, so I won't say more than what is necessary. It's very difficult to outline clearly what heart means, but I believe everyone understands in your hearts, what heart is, that is, what is dictated by one's heart. And thus, the problem arises, Xian said. So those who have lost their heart can't be considered human. Of course. Chen Xing smiled. From the corner of his eyes, he realized that Xiang Shu was still looking at him, so he could only pretend he hadn't seen that. When we castigate others for being no different from animals or you're inhumane, we shouldn't have been saying that in jest, right? A young one from the Wang family spoke up, so children who have not yet started schooling can't be considered human? If that is so, I don't agree. Chen Xing retorted with a question, who said children have no heart? How would you explain the saying simple and naive? One's heart is like the bright lamp in one's heart, what's supposed to exist, will exist. When the world descends into chaos, someone else chimed in, oftentimes there will be parents who exchange their children for food, and there will be those who acknowledge bandits as their fathers. Can you say they're not human? From what I can see, it's merely that there are some who are kind by nature, while there are others who are innately evil. Chen Xing continued, those who are born evil, I think, even if I didn't mention it, everyone would have already not considered them human, right? What if, after one loses their heart, they give up on evil and return to being kind? Another young Xie member asked. Chen Xing, if you guys can forgive this person, then of course, boundless is the sea of bitterness, yet a man who repents can still reach the shore nearby, so they can be considered human again. That's the so-called customary convention, right? That's the way of defining human through heart. So, with the heart as proof of being human, one would be able to recognize a human from a distance. My brother here, Shulukong, has always been able to clearly distinguish right from wrong and has upheld righteous principles. He has never killed innocent people, let alone bore any enmity towards the Han. Amongst the Hu, there are those who would want only kill the innocent in order to satisfy their cruel desires, but there are also those who are benevolent, who would save their country and people. Otherwise, why would he follow me all the way to Jiankong, just to suffer from your frigid irony and scorching satire? After making such a big round, at last Chen Xing returned to the main problem at hand. He smiled as he looked at Xiangshu. At this moment, Xiangshu finally stopped avoiding him, yet his expression now seemed a little complex. Everyone's hostility towards Xiangshu had been washed away quite a bit. Plus, after being tugged here and there by Chen Xing, they all felt a little dizzy now and didn't know what to say. After a long bout of awkwardness, it was the host, Xian, who broke the silence with a cough. It is pretty late now, Xian said. Why don't we continue this discussion another day? Okay, okay. Everyone wiped their sweat away. Seeing how calm and composed Chen Xing was while talking, if they gave him a table and a folding fan, they could probably continue talking until dawn of the next day, so they quickly dismounted their donkeys with the help of a slope and left one after another as the host thanked his guests. Chen Xing quickly shot a glance at Xian, signaling that he could wrap things up. Otherwise, after the guests left, they could snap out of their daze and come back in to continue their debate. He wouldn't be able to ward them off then. Xian shot a glance back at Chen Xing, signaling for him to follow him to the study. Chen Xing glanced at Xiangshu. Xiangshu looked just like usual. Chen Xing had expected him to praise him, but Xiangshu just looked as indifferent as ever, so he asked with resentment, "How was it?" "I'm sleepy from all your talking," Xiangshu answered. Chen Xing. In the study. The words "thank goodness" were evident on Xian's face. His gaze was fixed on Chen Xing, then he started loosening his robes and undressed. He took off his jade pendant and threw it aside. Dressed in only an unlined garment, he removed his shoes and socks before plopping down on the couch in the study, then picked up a pot and drank from it straight. Light intellectual conversation, Xian casually uttered. The only thing they do all day is engage in light intellectual conversation, such a useless bunch. Chen Xing. What are you in a daze for? Xian saw that Chen Xing and Xiangshu were still standing in the study, so he said, "Sit. What do you want to eat for dinner?" "I'll have them roast a pig and deliver it here." Chen Xing. Did I cause you trouble? Secretariat Xiat. Should be Secretariat Supervisor now. Xian cried bitterly, "Little Shidi, you're really not easy to deal with." "Never mind, let's not mention that. How's the situation? We have the time to properly talk about it now." Chen Xing held his forehead with one hand. "Lord Xiat, I thought about it really hard, but the two of us don't seem to be fellow disciples." Xian got up and said, "Last time I went to Mount Hua and acknowledged chivalrous Bailey as my teacher, I made sufficient preparations after my return. Look, in all these years, I went around inquiring and was finally rewarded by the heavens." Then Xian turned around and pushed the shelf in the study to one side. With a whoosh, shelves in a dark square appeared. The shelves were full of precious sabers and swords, bottles, jars, jade pendants, rings, and all 18 types of weapons could be found there. Chen Xing almost fainted at the sight. Xiang Shu frowned. What's this? In all seriousness, Xian replied, after Bailey Shifu exhorted me, these are the magical artifacts I exhausted all of my power in this lifetime to find for the exorcist's great undertaking. Chen Xing. Xian motioned to Chen Xing. Shidi, why don't you come examine them? Chen Xing, let me calm down for a bit. Xiang Shu walked over to the dark square shelves and picked up a halberd, scrutinizing it. Chen Xing said, you should have mentioned this earlier. Why invite all those scholars over for tea and a light intellectual discussion? All it did was tire me out, couldn't you have just brought us to the study for a proper talk? Xian responded helplessly, you don't know this, but the descendants of the upper class in Jiankong City now only play up to those in power. If I don't hold a reception for you, who would know of your name? Now see, after all that has happened today, the emperor will definitely summon you in a few days. Won't your name then be spread far and wide by then on its own? Lord Xiat. Someone outside informed, Lord Wang is here. Xian quickly threw his robes on, closed the cabinet, and after tidying up, looked like how he did before. Come in. It was Wang Zizi who had come, so Xian smiled politely and nodded. I'm having a nice chat with my little Shidi here. Wang Zizi was holding a document in hand as he smiled. Qingming Festival will be held in a few days. I would like to invite little brother Tianqi and brother Xie to Nanping Mountains for a spring hike. After writing this invitation, I thought that sending someone to deliver it would be too impolite, so I thought it would be better if I came down in person to express my sincerity. Good, good, Xian said with a smile. Chen Xing quickly saw Wang Zizi off and closed the door to the study. Xian removed his robes again and sat back down on the couch, asking, where were we? Xiang Shu, to be so different in public and private, don't you feel tired? I am. Xian said in earnest. But I can't help it. The imperial court is filled with civil and martial officials who only know of effete language without substance and how to look pretty, so what else can I do? Chen Xing, it shouldn't be that bad. Xian pointed to the north. Fujian's about to cross Yangtze River. Everyone's in danger now, what do you think? That won't happen so soon, Chen Xing said. He's too busy with his own affairs, but brother Xie, you. Chen Xing looked Xian up and down before sitting down by the side as well. He explained, so it's like this. Chen Xing narrated the course of events in Chang'an and Chi Le Chuan. Xian listened quietly, then nodded after he was done and sighed. I actually didn't get to witness such a scene. You're fortunate for not having had to witness it, okay? Chen Xing turned frantic. If something like that happens in Jiankong, everything's over. Xian pondered over it, then seemed to make up his mind in the end. Staying in Jiankong isn't a good makeshift stratagem. The day I received your letter, little Shidi, I was considering whether to just cut the hemp knot right away and be done with it. I'll resign right now and follow you too. Stop! Chen Xing interrupted. Don't even think about it. Fusheng, you're over 40. I don't know what Shifu said to you. I'll leave aside the problem of whether this body of yours can fight Yaos, the key now is that silence has fallen on all magic, so it's impossible to train as an exorcist. Xian said sternly, can you let Fusheng see your heart lamp? Xiang Shu was speechless as he faced Xian. Chen Xing could only light up his heart lamp. Xian was instantly lost in a daze as he stared at Chen Xing's hand and held his wrist. Lord Xiat. The housekeeper outside informed again, another guest has come who wants to visit. Chen Xing kept the heart lamp. Xian immediately tidied himself up and opened the door. Who is it? The housekeeper glanced at Chen Xing, then lowered his voice to whisper to Xian. Xian amicably said, I have no money, please ask him to go back. Let me take another look. After the housekeeper left, Xian turned back to Chen Xing and asked in earnest. Chen Xing, with no expression on his face, lit up the heart lamp again to let Xian study it as he pleased. So this is magic? Xian exclaimed. This is magic that can move mountains, fill seas, and switch out the day in secret. I would also like to move mountains, fill seas, and switch out the day in secret, Chen Xing said. Why don't you tell me, Fusheng, other than finding water to drink in the middle of the night, what other use does this heart lamp have? There must be, Xian said. This is truly a miracle on earth. Enough. Chen Xing said, why don't you come save the world from its demise and go eliminate Chu? I don't even want to be an exorcist. Why do you want to be one so fervently? Xian pulled Chen Xing over to see a shelf filled with his collection. Slowly look over these first, see if what I found is of use. In the time to come, the two of us can study them slowly. Chen Xing faced the shelves full of books and ornaments. Most of them were useless antiques, but there were one or two that looked like magical artifacts, but it was just that. Chen Xing couldn't tell which era they came from. Suddenly, he saw a bamboo slip. It was the slip missing from the exorcism department in Chang'an's mirror world, even the way it was tied together was the same. Chen Xing unfolded the slip, and saw the first column of words written on the left, exorcise and kill Yaos, Budong Rushan. End chapter. Dinghai Fusion Records. Chapter 50. Settling down. Xian spoke, this is the divine weapon that I want to find the most, the exorcising and demon-slaying sword, Budong Rushan. Chen Xing spread the bamboo scrolls over the table. Xiang Shu turned around and stared at the bamboo scrolls. Xian paced a few steps in the room, saying, legends say that this sword is something that the ancient god, Budong Ming Wang, using sunlight, moonlight, starlight, lightning, blazing flames, and bone phosphorus, the 6 kinds of light that appeared since the beginning of the world, tempered a sword forged from the bronze collected from the Shao mountain in the earliest days. The records stated on the bamboo scroll in front of Chen Xing were no different from what Xian said. The writing was in Lishu style, and he didn't know why, but he felt that it was vaguely familiar. He looked towards Xiangshu. Xian continued, according to what is written on the bamboo scroll, this sword can transform into 6 different forms. Once injected with mana, this sword can slay the demon god and purify the demonic magic between heaven and earth. Wait. Chen Xing exchanged a glance with Xiangshu. Xiangshu gave a small nod. Where did the records come from? Chen Xing asked Xian. Xian thought for a bit and said, from a household in Hujia. At that time, I was offering a generous reward, whoever could give it to me would be given 10 liang of silver. Somebody then sent this to me. Chen Xing furrowed his brows, and he held onto the bamboo scroll as he spoke, but logically speaking, this should be from an exorcist's collection of books. Xian answered matter-of-factly, of course. Why it would appear in Jiangnan, I'm not sure of this either. Xiangshu carefully examined the bamboo scroll. Unlike the records from the Chang'an exorcist division in the mirror world, the words on the bamboo scroll were engraved. It seemed that the writer had engraved another copy and taken it out of the exorcist division. Then who knows how, but the scroll had somehow ended up in Jiangnan. Why do these words seem a little familiar? Chen Xing asked. It's Zhang Liu's writing. Xiangshu replied. Chen Xing suddenly realized that he had gotten a hold of a treasure. He repeatedly turned over the bamboo slips in his hand. This was handed out by Zhang Liu 300 years ago. Why would he copy this book? Recalling the exorcist's sword in the mirror, the answer became clear. Zhang Liu had carried this bamboo scroll on him, perhaps it was in Jiangnan that he found the sword and then hid it in the mirror world. Xian spoke, after returning from Mount Hua, Master Bailey told me that the demon was going to be resurrected. I thought that maybe I could find a divine weapon that could be used against the enemy. It should be able to help, so I followed the clues and searched everywhere, but I never found the sword. Xiang Shu took off the sword resting on his back, laid it flat on the table, and looked at Xian. Xian stared at it in shock. He reached out his hand, but found that he couldn't pick it up. Cheng Xing keenly discovered that aside from him and Xiang Shu, nobody else could move the sword. Even Feng Qianjun couldn't pick it up in the beginning, so what could that mean? That it even recognized an owner? The webs of life and death are firmly bound, willing for the wisdom sword to cut. Xian murmured, "This may really be it, where did you get this from?" Chen Xing's heart was full of doubts, regarding Zhang Liu's actions. Why did the sword appear in the mirror world, where the Dinghai pearl might be, and so on. Everything was linked together, and when something appeared, another would follow. He explained simply to Xian that the three of them had been involved in this for a long time, but still didn't have any definite ideas. In the end, Xian could only say, "Rest for 10 days, then you can go to Kuiji to take a look. I will first take some people to investigate the bamboo scroll's past owners. However, it's best not to get your hopes too high, since this is something that has already existed since 300 years ago." Chen Xing had a hard time deciding on what to do next. After thinking for a moment, he remembered the most important thing about their trip. So he took out the 2 leftover maps that Xiang Shu had replicated and spread them out in front of Xian. "We found some clues from the Exorcist Division in Chang'an," Chen Xing said. "One of the maps we found points north to Karasha, but we don't know what the places are on the other 2 maps. Brother Xiat, can you take a look?" Xian took the 2 maps. When they were in Karakoram, Xiang Shu had asked the clan's people, and something they could be sure of was that the locations on the maps weren't outside the Great Wall. Xiayan had traveled everywhere under the heavens when he was younger, visiting renowned mountains in search of fairylands. Chen Xing believed that he may have an idea. This was one of the most important purposes for him coming to Jiankong. Xian looked at it for a long time and finally said, "I can't recall anything at the moment either. But it's okay, wait for me to find a time to call over the disciples from the other ethnic groups. They have also visited a lot of places. There will definitely be results if we discuss it with them." Chen Xing was relieved and nodded. Xian let the 2 rest first. Chen Xing asked Xian for more advice, then took the bamboo scroll with him to research more with Xiang Shu. There are many techniques to use the divine weapon. If they could learn how to wield this sword, they can do more when another battle comes. Xian personally brought Chen Xing and Xiang Shu to the other courtyard and made a please gesture. He arranged for where Xiang Shu was to stay first, then brought Chen Xing to a corridor leading up to the east wing. Chen Xing said, "It's too far. It would have been fine if you just arranged for the 2 of us to live together." "No, no." Xian answered, "Both the great exorcist and the martial god are my guests, how could I neglect you?" Xian arranged for the best 2 rooms in the wing for Chen Xing. Chen Xing didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He just followed Xian left and right, walking past half the household to the other side of the Xia house. In the evening, the sun set a golden hue, the spring breeze was warm, and the wind chimes jingled in the corridor. Chen Xing felt at ease. "Does junior brother have any plans for marriage?" Xian asked. Chen Xing smiled and replied, "Can senior brother not concern himself with such matters?" Xian hurriedly answered, "I was just casually asking. When you were fighting my Zhongdong disciples today, I saw that there was an adoring look in your protector's gaze when he looked at you. All you have to do is say, 'How about I arrange for the 2 of you to sleep in one room?'" "No, no, no." Chen Xing covered his forehead with a hand. He said, "You can go now." "Shoo." Chen Xing pushed Xian forward and couldn't help but mutter, "What adoration, that's just ridiculous." Xian replied, "Even though I am only a few years older, I still have the ability to see some truth. Your protector Sholokong had been staring at you unblinkingly since the very beginning. Then his eyes were probably sore." Chen Xing said seriously, "I have already said this for nearly a shishan." Xian brought him to the east wing, not far from his own bedroom, saying, senior brother is going to go take care of some business, I'll talk to you again later at night. Chen Xing said, it's fine. I want to turn in early, you can come again tomorrow. Chen Xing sent Xian away. It was already night. He immediately breathed a sigh of relief, he felt too tired today. He didn't know what Xiang Shu was doing, he planned on going to see him but was too lazy to move. Somebody sent dinner not long after, and after eating it, Chen Xing fell asleep. Late into the next morning, the housekeeper came to invite Chen Xing to eat breakfast. Xian had already headed to court. Chen Xing and Xiang Shu sat opposite each other in the dining hall. Once opening the container for the food, he saw a bowl of fish noodles and a few small dishes. It was full of Jiangnan flavor. Did you sleep well last night? Chen Xing asked Xiang Shu. Not bad. Xiang Shu replied casually. It seemed that after the debate yesterday, Xiang Shu had started to treat Chen Xing a little more distantly. Chen Xing thought, when I was in Chi Le Chuan, I was always being pushed around every day, but I never saw you defend me or speak up for me. Then yesterday, you offended all my clansmen, yet I didn't see you have even a sorry expression. Fine, whatever. What about you? Xiang Shu asked back for once. Chen Xing cheerfully replied, fine, I don't need to tidy up the room after all. Feels pretty good being at ease. Xiang Shu recognized the mocking tone in Chen Xing's remarks, referring to the time when he had first entered Chi Le Chuan. He had been endlessly treated like a manservant and was even made to serve the great Chanyu every day. Today, Feng Shui had turned things around, and there actually came the day where the great Chanyu was the guest. We've been pretty idle these days, Chen Xing said, how about we go play around in Jiankong City? Let me show you the Han people's delicacies and fun places. No need, you can go by yourself. Since you're back home, just go with your senior brother. People who can write pretty words should hang around each other. Xiang Shu seriously replied, I've decided to go find some work and earn a little bit of money. Chen Xing spoke, don't mess around in Jiankong City. If you are caught by the officers, the amount of money you make won't be enough to redeem you. Xiang Shu replied, I'll remember to disguise myself. No need to worry. Chen Xing finally burst out in frustration, hey! When I visited your home, you never brought me anywhere. Now that we're at my home, I have been treating you politely as a host should to a guest. Xiang Shu, shouldn't you say something a little nicer? Xiang Shu feigned puzzlement, I thought it was your senior brother who was supposed to be entertaining me. Chen Xing gritted his teeth, just how have I offended you now? Lai is back. Xian had just returned from court. He pulled off the official's hat and tossed it aside. The steward rushed to pick it up. It was as if the room had been embraced by a spring breeze upon his arrival. He warmly asked Chen Xing, Junior brother, have you eaten yet? After Xian arrived, Xiang Shu fell silent. Xian turned to Xiang Shu, Protector Shulu, if there is anything not to your satisfaction, please feel free to mention it. So Xiang Shu said, you Han people eat too little. It's impossible to feel full. Chen Xing cried, he was just be courteous, but you actually mentioned something. Xian immediately interjected, it's fine. I'll immediately have some people slaughter and bring some lambs over. You can have an entire roasted lamb. Chen Xing. Chen Xing had just stood up when Xian pulled at him, saying, Junior brother, teach me how to cultivate so I can use the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. There is no more spiritual energy of heaven and earth. There is no way. Senior brother, just how much do you want to learn magic? Chen Xing felt that Xian was helpless. I can learn the theory first, that way when an opportunity comes, I can cultivate. Chen Xing was dragged by Xian into his meditation room. Who knew that a southern minister would want to be an exorcist so much? After thinking through things clearly today, he felt that his master in the past had just randomly gave Xian some points, said he would accept him as an apprentice, pointed out the so-called right path to him, and let him go home and buy magic artifacts himself to practice on his own so he didn't run over to Mount Hua to cling onto him. Fine. Seeing Xian so enthusiastic, Chen Xing thought to let it slide. I'll teach. Senior brother, I'll teach you about the 5 elements first. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth may be gone, but the trick to meditating still existed. An exorcist's practice was diverse, similar to a martial artist's internal meridians. Chen Xing casually brought out some basics and let him meditate. He said, "You can't get up or move for 2 shishan." To prevent Xian from clinging onto him, he left, deciding to go argue with Xiangshu. When he arrived at the other courtyard, he saw Xiangshu facing towards the spring sun, with the bamboo scroll spread across his knees, and using his left hand to carefully press on the meridians of his right arm. He was clearly studying how to use the exorcist's sword. Under the sunlight, the young martial artist was incomparably handsome. Chen Xing's anger dissipated the moment he saw this. There is no spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Chen Xing spoke, even if Budong Rushan is a peerless divine weapon, it will be ineffective. When Xiangshu saw that Chen Xing had come, he retrieved the scroll, his expression a bit unnatural. He asked, "How did it work before?" "Because of the heart lamp." Chen Xing answered wearily, "The mana you used was from my heart lamp. You took all the mana from my heart lamp when you grew anxious the last time, which is why I vomited blood." Xiangshu immediately understood. That was to say, currently the protector did not have the ability to slay demons. It was when the exorcist by his side was drawing power by burning his life force that Xiangshu was able to borrow that mana to use Budong Rushan. Would using resentment be able to activate the divine weapon? Xiangshu suddenly asked. "It's best not to," Chen Xing immediately replied, "I've always felt that resentment can easily bite back at you. In case she has mastery over resentment is stronger than I thought, it would be unthinkable if they could in turn take advantage of this." Xiangshu packed the scroll away. Chen Xing said, "You should wait and see, when the day comes." "Then what do you want me to do?" Xiangshu earnestly asked, "Can you show me a clear path?" This is a really contradictory matter. If Xiangshu wanted to protect Chen Xing, he must use the relationship between protector and exorcist to draw out the mana from Chen Xing's heart lamp to wield the sword. If he drew out too much, Chen Xing could get seriously injured, or maybe even die. "What else can I do?" Chen Xing said exasperatedly, "When the time comes for you to use it, of course you have to use it. I'm just reminding you that you don't have to be so anxious when fighting." Suddenly, he had a faint idea and recalled that he only had 3 years of life left. He is destined to die at the age of 20, could it be that, it may be heaven's will that when Xiangshu and Shihai fight the decisive final battle, for the sake of supporting Xiangshu, he would completely burn away his life to use the heart lamp? It really may be that way. Chen Xing showed a rare expression of loss, and Xiangshu stared at him strangely. He only saw Chen Xing's expression rapidly change multiple times for a short moment before returning to normal. "Ah," Chen Xing muttered to himself as he thought, "that's right, it must be like this." "Like what?" Xiangshu became confused. Besides this, what other accident could happen in his life? Most accidents are avoidable. Mortals are all destined to die one day, to die in such an impactful way shouldn't be too bad. Chen Xing smiled again and turned to speak to Xiangshu, "I understand now, it's all heaven's will. It's fine, just use it however you wish." "Are you sick?" Xiangshu asked. Just as Chen Xing was about to come up with something to reassure Xiangshu, the Xia family's steward shouted, rushing through the corridor. "Lai! Lai!" The housekeeper cried, "Bad news! The debt collector has come again." "Chen Xing! Xiangshu! Your Lai is in seclusion." Chen Xing came to the door, explaining, "Don't bother him. If he doesn't succeed later on, let's see how you plan on explaining yourself." The housekeeper pulled a long face. Pointing outside, Chen Xing spoke, "There's still nearly 2 shishan left, how about you first let the guest, wait, the Xie household owes money? The Xie household is so rich, how could they be in debt?" "Xianqi." A voice resounded from outside, "Come out. I know you're home. You have to go to court today." Xiang Shu and Chen Xing both whipped their heads back at the same time and were shocked stiff. There stood Feng Qunjun donning an indigo brocade robe, dangling jade pendants, with 2 long swords strapped to his waist, and wearing a pair of cloud-embroidered boots. Walking with loud steps into the Xie house, he shouted, "Lord Xianqi! You agreed to return the money yesterday. Yesterday night you said you had guests so fine, I let it slide, but today... Tianqi? Brother Xiang!" Feng Qunjun greeted the 2 that were still shock-stupid. Chen Xing cried out loud. He rushed up to him screaming, "Feng Dage!" He leapt up and threw himself onto Feng Qunjun. Xiang Shu wanted to say hello, but upon seeing this scene, gave a slight frown. Displaying a little irritation, he didn't bother to greet Feng Qunjun. "Tianqi! Tianqi!" Feng Qunjun laughed loudly, "How come you're here? When did you arrive?" Feng Qunjun looked at him like he might as well gobble Chen Xing into his stomach, grabbing onto him and rubbing at him. Chen Xing couldn't stop laughing. Xiang Shu only gave a slight nod, obviously not intending on catching up with Feng Qunjun, and turned around and left. Xiang Shu!" Chen Xing called out, "Don't you want to chat for a bit?" Xiang Shu turned around to leave, but Feng Qunjun called loudly after Xiang Shu's silhouette, "I'm going to get married in a few days. No need for you to get jealous, brother Xiang." Chen Xing turned towards Feng Qunjun and made a hush gesture, exasperatedly saying, "What are you talking about? Wait, why did you come here to collect debt?" "It's a long story," Feng Qunjun replied, "we can talk about it when we go to my bank." Chen Xing informed him that he was currently residing here. He grabbed onto Feng Qunjun and borrowed one of Xian's house's tea rooms. When the housekeeper saw that the debt collector was being taken away, he hurriedly served tea as the 2 sat down and told each other of the things that happened whilst the other was away. So that's how it was. When passing by Qi Le Chuan, Feng Qunjun had only heard the gist of things. He sighed and nodded his head. Chen Xing couldn't help but feel guilty when he mentioned Xiao Shan. He had originally wanted to entrust Xiao Shan to the Xiongnu tribe and let him stay and grow up there, but he had never asked Xiao Shan what it was that he wanted. After having a long talk with Xiang Shu on the ship that day, Chen Xing gradually realized that everyone has something they wish to do and places they wish to go. He had to write a letter to Xiao Shan to tell him that they are in Jiangnan, and if Xiao Shan wished, he could ask somebody to pick him up again. He was letting him make his own choice. But what could he do when he was about to die? Chen Xing's mood was in a turmoil. On one hand, he liked the child very much, he was willing to take care of him until he didn't need him anymore. But on the other hand, he subconsciously doesn't want to deepen the feelings between them, lest when the time comes for him to go, Xiao Shan would definitely be very miserable. "Can you help me send a letter to Qi Le Chuan to Xiao Shan?" Chen Xing recalled that the Xifeng Bank dabbled in the information industry. Feng Qunjun must have already been aware of many things, so he casually remarked, "You must have already heard some of the things that happened." "No," Feng Qunjun replied, "there's still some things that I don't understand. But the fact that brother Xiang Shu resigned from his position as the Great Chanyu and left Qi Le Chuan with you, I already knew a long time ago." "What?" Chen Xing nearly knocked over the tea bowl, shocked, "Resigned from being the Great Chanyu?" Yet, Feng Qunjun was also surprised, "He didn't tell you?" Both inside and outside the Great Wall, the Central Plains, Jiangnan and other places, everyone knew everything in one night. Chen Xing asked blankly, "When did this happen?" Feng Qunjun told Chen Xing the general date. Chen Xing remembered that it was during the time they were in Karakoram. Had Xiang Shu already decided to no longer be the great Chanyu at that time? He could only hear Feng Yunjun say, "The information I received was that Shulakong had handed over the jade tallies of the 16 Hu people to the tile chief, unsheathed the sword, returned the bow, sealed the strings, made a sacrifice to heaven, and even played the ancient flute music to express his intentions. Now the great Chanyu is the tile tribe's Shi Mokan. Fujian has already sent a letter to Karakoram asking the elders to host a purple scroll and golden mandate ceremony as soon as possible, prepare to mobilize troops, and attack the south." Chen Xing's mind went blank and was at a loss for words for a long time. Why did he resign from being the great Chanyu? Chen Xing had difficulty processing. Feng Yunjun was even more incredulous, asking back, "Isn't he your protector? It's only expected that he would resign from being the great Chanyu." Chen Xing, "No, no. Xiang Shu." Chen Xing instinctively stood up and was just about to bolt out right as Xiang Shu was about to come in. The two nearly crashed into each other. Xiang Shu had a cold look on his face, glaring at Feng Yunjun with a look of reproach. What kind of person was Feng Yunjun? Naturally, he was long aware that Xiang Shu did not want to tell Chen Xing. He smiled to himself. End chapter.